This meeting is being live streamed. Yes, fantastic. My name is Nandini, and welcome to Figuring It Out Alive with me. Oh, it says this video is private. Hold on, just give me a second. Something is going on here. Just if you could hold your horses. Something is supposed to be live right now. Home. It's saying it's not. Wait. It is working. It is working. It is working. Okay. Zoom. No, not Zoom. YouTube tricked me. It tricked me. Okay. So today's topic, as you can see from the screen, is the difference between life coaching and therapy. Okay. So why am I talking about this? Because I was asked a question on it. There was a few days ago, I met a young artist. And we got to talking. They asked me, "So what do you do?" I said, "Hi, I'm Nandini and I'm a life coach." And they were like, "Oh, interesting. What do life coaches do?" And so there were two excellent questions that the artist asked me. The first was, why do people go to a life coach? And the second was, what's the difference between therapy and life coaching? And this honestly is such a great topic and a great thing to perhaps distinguish in case you're wondering whether to go for some life coaching or go for some therapy. So today I'm going to really deep dive into the surface level questions on life coaching, okay? So this is a very surface level basic question that a lot of people have. What is life coaching? There are people who are trainers and coaches and they asked me, Nandini, what are you planning to do? Oh, you want to be a life coach? I wonder what that is. What are you going to actually help people with? So let's get straight into it. And remember, as usual, you can send me questions. It's better if you send it to me, send your questions to me in the Q&A link because right now I'm gonna start looking at some notes so I can give you a proper, answer to this question. So while I'm looking at the notes, I won't be able to look at the chat. So I will let you know once I'm ready to look at the chat again. So if you can hold your questions until the end of what I'm about to say. It might take about 10 to 15 minutes, and then go ahead, ask me the questions, and I would be super happy to answer them. So here we go. So, the question that the artist asked me was, why do people come to a life coach? What do they come to a life coach for? And what is the difference between life coaching and therapy? Great, excellent questions. So I know for myself and for others, including this artist. We're people who might have tried counseling or therapy and we felt like it wasn't really working for us. Now, remember that your lack of progress or the progress that you make, all of these things have many factors, right? And this doesn't mean that if you've tried therapy didn't work for you, it's never for you or it's not for anyone else. You shouldn't be writing off something just because one thing didn't work for you, right? So if you're considering whether you should be either going for counseling or therapy or life coaching, the most important factor in all of this would be your readiness to change, your readiness to take responsibility for your life. Because I'm telling you right now, this is the truth. Some people might call it the bitter truth, but honestly, it's a liberating truth. And that is that nobody can live your life for you. No one can give you what you want or what you desire. And similarly, no one can stop you from doing things that you don't want to be doing, from doing things that you don't find fulfilling. It's all in your hands, right? It's all in your hands. This is a choice that you have to make. At every moment, there are choices that you are making. You are making those choices because perhaps you're prioritizing others over yourself, right? So remember, it's all up to you and how ready you are to change. Now, when I say that it's all in your hands, I really don't want you to think, oh man, now I have all this responsibility. I'm going to do it all by myself. That is not true. Just because it's in your hands doesn't mean that you don't deserve some support, right? Sure, a person can pretty much do anything in life, but it's so much easier if we have some sorry, some help or some support. So that is what you know, that's where therapy comes in. That's where counseling comes in. Especially that's where life coaching comes in. Okay. Because we all know that if we have a mission, if we have a goal, it just feels so much better and easier when we surround ourselves with people who can help us achieve that, who believe in us, who are there to guide us and sprinkle some support or help us network with the right people, you know? It just feels so much more doable when I know I'm doing it in a group, when I know I'm doing it with somebody else's support. So, here we go. What is the key difference between a therapist or a life coach? Um, 1 second. I thought I had a thingy here, but no. Okay, these are still my thoughts. Okay, so the key difference between a therapist and a life coach. So a therapist, right, is a mental health professional. They have training and qualifications and all that, and without those, if they're claiming to be a therapist, they are fraud. Okay, so any therapist has qualifications, and especially mental health therapists, they have a minimum of a master's degree in psychology for them to be a therapist. Now, a life coach may actually have no official qualifications and still be able to call themselves a life coach. Does this mean that the life coach is less effective if they have no qualifications? No, not really. Does this mean that the life coach doesn't know what they're doing because they have no qualifications? Once again, maybe yes, maybe no. And does this mean that all life coaches are frauds if they have no qualifications? Here, I would say no. Okay, no, but also yes, because it comes down to the individual, right? Yes, now coming to the therapy side, to the therapist side, right? I have met therapists and counselors that I would never, ever, ever go to myself, and nor would I ever recommend anyone else to go to them, even if I was being paid money to promote them, right? And this is not because therapy is bad, and this is not because, uh, all therapists are not good. No, it's just because these particular individuals don't resonate with me, and I don't believe that they would be able to help me. I need to blow my nose. Just give me a second. I feel this little drip dripping down. Okay. And now that I've done that, maybe I've irritated my nose and I might have to sneeze. Okay, I'm back. Haha. So, why do I say that? It's because it doesn't resonate with me. I don't like their personality. I don't like their messaging. I don't like their sense of humor. I don't really appreciate how they are. I'm talking about a couple of therapists I've met, right? But this doesn't mean that they are the absolute perfect therapist for someone else. This doesn't mean that they're actually helping their own clients. Whoa, Nandini, hold on a second. What are you talking about? You're saying that even if someone paid you, you wouldn't recommend them? But you're saying that there might be effective? Exactly, yes, that is exactly what I'm saying. A lot of it comes down to the individual relationship, what parts of you resonate with the person that you're working with, right? So, as a general rule of thumb, if you're mentally ill, it's recommended you go to a therapist. But if you're not ill, but you're also not well, life coaching might be an option. Okay, so that's like super general. If you're ill, therapy, psychotherapy might be the way. Might. Remember, it's always up to you. Even this is your choice. And if you're not ill but not well, perhaps life coaching is the way. Remember, perhaps. Once again, it's up to you. It's your choice. Now, here's what you absolutely have to do no matter what. Whether you're wondering whether I should go for life coaching or therapy or whatever else, okay, whatever you're searching for, what you actually have to do is you have to start researching, looking at the testimonials, and through the testimonials, you'll get an idea of who does this person work with and what do they work on. This is very key. So, another, whoa, because I'm on Zoom, you may not have heard the massive, massive thunderbolt that just, it sounded like a bomb. So it's gonna definitely start pouring with rain very soon. Okay. What was I just talking about? Something massive, massive. Yes. No, it was after the massive, massive. Yeah. So number one rule of thumb, definitely search for them online. Look at their reviews, their, star ratings on Google. If you can find that, if you can find their websites, social media pages, these are a good place for you to get a small sense of what this person is like and what they work on, obviously. Remember, this is both for therapists as well as coaches. If a therapist is working as part of a particular organization or an NGO or a hospital, obviously you can also search for those particular hospitals, look at the reviews and things like that. Now, I'm going to skip a little bit in my notes here. Yes, and then go back to another part. So, according to the website called choosingtherapy.com, they have an article called Life Coach versus Therapist, Understanding the Differences. And they wrote that the purpose of therapy is to relieve pain and symptoms to restore the function, right? To become a functional adult, human being, right? So that is the purpose of therapy. Whereas coaching is focused on creating personal fulfillment and attaining specific goals. I quite like that distinction. I think it's very, very apt and true. Further in their website, they wrote that a life coach is a paid professional who helps you reach your goals. And when you're hiring a life coach, you have already identified what exactly you need help with and what your goal is that you want to achieve. And then so you hire the life coach to help you achieve that goal, right? So there are many different types of life coaches, and this is why it's so, so key to do your research. Over here are some examples of coaches, right? Forget the word life. You might have heard of relationship coaches. You might have heard of parenting coaches. I would love for that to start trending. I think there are some really phenomenal parenting coaches I've met. They were really great. There are obviously also health coaches, right? Not just the physical trainer, but some of these health coaches are a lot more holistic. They also specialize in yoga, meditation, and well-being, mental health, and physical health. So health coaches are awesome. Business coaches, spiritual coaches, grief coaches, career coaches, financial coaches. There are a lot of different types of coaches, right? Um, so guess what? You can also hire more than one coach. Definitely. Let's move on to now therapy. So what is a therapist? As I mentioned before, a therapist is a paid professional who has at least a master's degree in psychology, that is. And instead of you coming to them with a perfect, clear idea of this is all that's wrong with me and these are all my goals, they can sometimes, not sometimes, they're actually trained to help you identify what exactly the issues are, where in the past they came from, and they help sort of alleviate that in order to make you feel better, make you feel lighter, and for it not to be so heavy, right? For you to honestly for you not to continue to suffer from the mental illness that you may have. The word mental illness, even as I'm saying it, it sounds really strong, doesn't it? It sounds like, oh, it's an illness, it's incurable. And there are some false, semi-false, semi-true, semi-false, semi-true things where people say, oh, you can never cure depression, but you can manage it, you can make it better, but you may always have it. Now, this is also something that, just personally speaking, I have a lot to say on that. And I don't necessarily agree with that, and I won't dare to ever disagree with that either, because I know there are people who have suffered from poor mental health. I'm here, like over here, I'm saying that poor mental health, I'm equating that to being mentally ill, okay? Just for this video. So I know people who have suffered from poor mental health literally their whole lives, and they don't believe that they could ever do away with it or have it not be a part of who they are. And that's okay. Like that is all that is their truth. That is true. I also know of a couple, maybe a small number of people who believe that they suffered from a lot of mental illness and poor mental health, and then they did whatever they did, right? Coaching, healing, therapy as well. And now they're free of their mental illness, truly. So I'm not here to tell you that one is right and one is wrong. Personally, I hold space for both things to be true. Okay. So a therapist is basically looking at your life, your mind, and all that, and they're guiding you uh, on how to help heal, or alleviate the symptoms to make you functional, remember? So once again, there are actually quite a few different therapists. We've been talking about mental illness type of therapy, but we're going to actually make a distinction in this video between a therapist, a psychotherapist, and a counselor. So just wait for a few more minutes when I make that distinction, but I'm going to talk right now about the different types of therapists. There are family therapists, there are CBT, you must have heard of CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. I personally am getting a qualification in REBT, which is rational emotive behavioral therapy, which came a little bit before CBT. I love that technique. I really do. That's why I'm getting qualified in REBT. Right. Then there's something called psychodynamic therapist. I don't know what that is. You should look it up if it sounds like the thing for you. There are obviously couples therapists, there are child therapists, there are trauma specific, therapists. There are also holistic integrative integrative. How do you say that word? Integrative. I cannot pronounce that right now. In integrate. I can say integrate. Integrative. Holistic therapists. There are behavioral therapists, there are school therapists. Sometimes they're also called counselors, right? So there are a whole bunch of those as well. Please do your research. Don't just be like, "Oh, you're a therapist. Come, help me, cure me with this thing I have." But they'd be like, "Wait a second, I'm a child therapist." "Oh, are you a child therapist? Could you not help me?" I don't know. Remember, there are also physical therapists, right? PTs. So, according to Psychology Today, I read an article in Psychology Today to prepare for this no, this video, this live. And I also wanted to know the distinction between a therapist, a psychotherapist, and a counselor. Okay. So sorry, not psychotherapist. I'm so sorry, not psychotherapist, psychologist. Okay, psychologist. Because way back when I was suffering from severe insomnia, I was very keen on getting some medicines for that. Okay. And I found out that only a psychologist can prescribe that. And I was like, what? A counselor can't? Okay. So that was one distinction. But here's a distinction as well on what a psychologist is versus a therapist. Okay, so now we're putting life coaches to the side and we're looking just at this medical field. Okay, so a psychologist is someone who has a doctorate, literally a PhD, not a PhD. I think it's PS. Don't ask me what it is, but they have a doctorate in philosophy or a doctorate in psychology. And if it's a doctorate in psychology, they don't call it a PhD, they call it something else, okay? And they are much more likely to treat severe mental illnesses such as psychosis, personality disorders, and things like that, right? So remember, mental illness is genuinely, it's an umbrella term of just not being mentally well. Okay, so I don't want you to think of when I say mental illness, I only mean severe mental illness, okay? Difference. So, because they have such extensive knowledge and tr training as well, I'm guessing, they delve more deeply into the science and the theory, as well as the practice of psychology. Okay. So, that is the difference between a therapist and a psychologist. Whereas a therapist is a person who treats mental health concerns, and as you know, you know what? A person who has a psychology doctorate degree may also be called a therapist. They may not be a psychologist, they may still be a therapist, okay? So that's one thing. Now, let's get into the word counseling because many, many, many moons ago, about 10 years ago, actually, more than 10 years ago, I had an experience with a counselor. And I was like, I wonder what the difference is between a counselor and a therapist. Question. So it turns out a counselor is actually, they tend to work with people who have very short-term goals, and it's like a very goal-oriented relationship, situationship, or whatever we want to call it here. The mission is like it addresses something very concrete and a very specific life challenge, usually, right? There are many types of counselors. There are grief counselors, there are substance abuse and addiction counselors, there are marriage counselors as well. You must have heard of that, right? Marriage counselor, and people say couples therapy, right? So there's a blend there, but usually it's very like problem specific, goal specific. And so it's more of a short term process. That's the word. Process. Yeah. So similarly, right, counselors are also trained to address specific issues. Um in in some countries it may or may not be true. But anyway, let's just say that a lot of good schools ought to have or should have or even do, a lot of schools do have counselors, which can actually be quite beneficial. There are student counselors, uh, also study counselors, right? So, yeah, they help individual people deal with individual problems. Now, I want to stress that coming back to life coaching, life coaches do not actually treat mental health disorders, mental illness, and I personally think it's very irresponsible for a coach to say, "Come to me, I can cure your depression and I can cure your anxiety, I can cure your whatever it is." I'm just using depression and anxiety. I know people who say, and I have been in situations where I have seen people advertise and say that I can cure your muscle pain or your osteoporosis or your arthritis through life coaching, bro. I mean, irresponsible, right? Irresponsible. Earlier in this live, I talked about a few therapists I'd met slash counselors I'd met who I would never recommend to anyone, right? But at the same time, there are so many life coaches. I would just be like, block them, block, block, block. Don't even go there because it's false. It's just false. It's like people are promising things that cannot be promised and they're not being honest about just one second. I'm trying to take a look at something here on YouTube. Okay, cool. So now I'm available for questions in the chat because I'm done with my notes. Yes. So if you're a life coach, hmm, just be realistic, right? Just be very real about it. There are people who are life coaches because they believe that they can just make money through helping people. And then there are life coaches who are like, I really want to help people, and it would be nice to earn some money with that. Personally, I would say the second is better than the first because I have come across coaches who are so, so, so keen on earning money that when you join their program, they just give you a little bit. They give you that little hit, that little dash of, here you go, improvement, dopamine. I'm gonna make you feel good. And then you're there and you feel really good. And then it's like, oh, now they're gonna sell you another program to just make that next step of progress. Right? And once again, that is actually a really realistic model. But to do it with the intention to just keep getting money from people, I personally, being an anti-capitalist to the core, it doesn't sit well with me. I think it's morally reprehensible to be taking advantage of people who are literally coming to you with a need. They have a need and they're trusting you. And you're sitting there like, oh, I'm gonna like help them and I'm gonna just take more money from them and take more money from them and take more money from them. Oh, anyway, I don't really want to get into that right now. I think what I've just said is strong enough and it is enough. So please do your research. Ah, yes, the last part here. How do you avoid that, right? How do you avoid getting exploited? Because it is a sad truth and sad reality that some people are exploited because, a person who's seeking a life coach or a therapist is someone who has a need and they're trusting someone else. So how do you avoid getting exploited? You know what? I wrote down some notes here, but I already know it all up here, so I'm not even going to go there. Here you go. Straight. Do your research, find testimonials of people. If you really, really, really want to be sure, in those testimonials, if they're really like, high level, they would have names and pictures of the people. Find them on social media, reach out to them. Don't expect a reply, right? I myself don't reply to people who reach out to me on social media just asking for things. I don't often reply unless I really have something positive to say usually. Or if there's something that they really need to be aware of, then I would reply. But reach out to those people, see and ask them the questions you actually have, right? This is so key in number one, figuring out obviously whether this life coach or therapist does the thing that you are seeking. But it's also very good to sort of figure out what are the other kinds of people that this life coach is serving. And do I feel like I could get along with them? Or I am, I share a similar problem, things like that, right? Step number two, all of these things, they're an investment of money as well as time. My, not just my rule. Yes, actually, I should just say it's my rule. But no, for a lot of people who have some serious integrity about this business, they would only be willing to work with people who genuinely want to change their life and they are committed. They're committed and obviously they have some trust in you or in the life coach to even give them time, to even give them the money, to even join the program, right? There's a little bit of trust, but that trust has to be continuous, not continuously. It has to be established even further in the sessions that you do. That's not the point here. The point is if you're searching for a counselor, a therapist, or a life coach, the second thing I would recommend is checking out the material that they're posting online, the actual content of it. The third step is, especially when it comes to life coaching, there are group sessions that people take. And I also know of people who have pre-recorded programs that they're selling. Usually the pre-recorded programs would be the cheapest and sometimes even free. Um, and if they're free, they might be a marketing thing, in which case they could be very high quality and free, right? So that's a little insider bit of knowledge I'm giving you here. A lot of people who post, like, this course is available for free for the next 5 days. Send me your email address and number and I'll send it to you. This is a way for them to attract people to come to them, get those email addresses to build their list and all those things. So whatever they're offering for free might actually be of great quality. It usually is of great quality, right? Because they don't want people to just look at it and just be like, okay, this is not good. I'm going to unsubscribe. So do go ahead and do that. You'll get a sense of who this person is. What are they talking about? Is it actually helping me? Follow it, follow through, do the things, and that will automatically make you know whether you should continue investing in this person. So if it's not a pre-recorded program, It could also be a group program, right? A group program. I would even say send them an email and ask them, hey, I heard that you do a group program every Thursday, Sunday, whenever. I have more questions about that. Could I either call you or could I see what it's like? Could I join just the first session and get an idea of what it's like? Some people may say no, some people may say yes. But if they're once again, if they're serious about their business, they are likely to um at least reply to you and have a conversation with you to get an understanding of what it is that you specifically want or are seeking and to see if they would be a good match for you. People who are starting out in life coaching, they may be open to receiving anyone and everyone, but those who are doing this very, very seriously and who have had some experience in doing this and who do live with integrity and who know who they want to serve, they may actually say no. And I want you to be aware of this because this is actually a beautiful thing. This rejection is a beautiful thing because if you had started to invest in them and it wasn't working out, you would not feel happy and they would not feel happy. You need to be working with people who are happy to be working with you, right? This is not like school. You go to school, there's some teachers who like you and some teachers who don't. This is a relationship where the main thing that you get is accountability. You're paying someone for the results they can provide through the accountability because you're the one who has to be doing the actions, right? Okay, so I feel like this is a good enough overview of the differences between counseling, therapy, being a psychologist and seeing a psychologist, as well as life coaching. So, general rule of thumb, if you are not well, no. If you're ill, go to the medical side. See a therapist, see a psychologist. If you're not ill, but you're also not well, you can delve into some life coaching, right? All the best to you on your journey. I'm also here to support you. If you feel like reaching out to me, all the details are in the description. You can send me an email or a message on WhatsApp. You can join my Empowered Transformation group on WhatsApp as well, where I post from time to time. And I do have some new group programs that I will be launching in the next couple of months, actually. September and October is my aim. So please subscribe to the channel to know more about those. And finally, my name is Nandini, and thank you very, very much for watching this. Until next time, Q&A Fridays every Friday. So send me your questions. Yes, send the questions. All right. I'll see you next time. Bye. And how do I leave this? How do I end this? I need to figure out how to end this. Okay. If I press OK and then